Welcome back, everybody. We're ready for Strifecro versus Gnimsh, where these guys are Cloud9 teammates, but today they're enemies on the battlefield, or at least rivals, because that's the term that we use for anime when we want to show it to kids. So today it'll be how Strifecro playing what looks like to be Hunter, Druid, and Warrior, and Gnimsh is going to be hunting off with Warrior 2. I thought we were going to be able to take a little quick second. It's not that intuitive, but the icons definitely are cute. You have to give them that.
Well, you know what? Kitkatz actually lied. He's not Gnimsh. He's not Kitkatz. He's actually Gnimsh in disguise. Oh, there we go. We have the player names correct. And we have a Hunter Mirror to start off.
Okay, Hunter Mirrors. So Hunter Mirrors are super deck dependent because the way you build them can dramatically shift the percentages in your favor. And Monk, you climbed to Legend playing a lot of Hunter Mirrors and specializing it for the season. So talk a little bit about this matchup.
All right, this matchup, it's usually won or lost actually in the first 2 or 3 turns. It's a lot about how much board presence you can get, and that's why we're saying Leopard Gnome, from Gnimsh. We usually call it Leopard Gnimsh just because Gnimsh really loves Leopard Gnome. It's his favorite creature, and Strifecro actually gets the Undertaker, so that's an incredibly great start for him. Gnimsh will respond with the Leopard Gnome, but if Strifecro drop, then he'll be able to buff his Undertaker and kill the Leopard Gnome, trade it right off, and Strifecro will be a huge web spinner from Strifecro. What a great draw.
Yeah, he just needed a death rattle so that way he can take control of the board. And Gnimsh is already in. He can go for a coin turn 3 play. Also could draw into something else. With the Leopard Gnome in his deck, it heavily implies he also has Undertaker as well. And he draws a kill command, so that's not going to be useful right here. Might have to go for something like an Animal Companion role.
Yeah, Animal Companion, both Animal Companion and Bow, they kind of feel a little awkward. If Gnimsh gets a hover right now with the Undertaker, but if he uses the Bow, you're kind of using a 3-mana weapon or a 3-attack weapon to take care of 1-health creatures. It doesn't feel great either way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the Animal Companion that comes out might even be resilient against Eagle Horn Bow, and then you're trading it for Web Spinner, which replaces itself with something potentially stronger. So, it's a hover, and that's way too much damage. You don't be taking it like this early on, and Gnimsh is going to be forced to use Kill Command. Unless he wants to roll the dice on...
Would probably be hover, in which case you can attack right into Web Spinner and trade it there. But the other 2 animal companions, they basically have the same effect or worse than the kill command. If he gets a Leok or if he gets a Misha, then his opponent's hover will be able to trade right away, which is again the same effect as if you used the kill command by your own.
And now up high main before at the same time as his opponent does, and he has the mana curve ahead of him. So hitting the high main first is really important, especially if you have the life lead, because now you're just going to take so much board initiative. This is like one of the few turns Gnimsh might have something stronger, and he's going to roll an Animal Companion. He gets a Misha, which temporarily gives him control, but very easily taken back if Strifecro just has an answer for it.
Yeah, and Strifecro definitely does have an answer for it. Not only can he kill command this turn, but he can use a freezing trap. But is Strifecro, considering Lothab, that's also a decent play. But it lets your opponent essentially trade the Misha for your 2/2 creature, and you're not getting a lot of value off.
Yeah, if you drop, or it could be even harder, like if he has Houndmaster and as you'd like to imagine that your high main can come down. So I feel like I favor the kill command, but it wouldn't surprise me if sometimes Strifecro tries to prioritize building the board. But I like the kill command a lot better that you suggested.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Gnimsh, he draws a 3-mana creature. He can combine that with the Flare to get a pretty good turn. And at the end of this turn, we'll see Gnimsh probably have a better board compared to Strifecro. and Gnimsh is just kind of pulling it back bit by bit. He'll have a high main next turn, but so does Strifecro. Whoever it will have a pretty big advantage because he'll have the choice to go aggressive either to the face or trade high mains with a buzzard in order to draw more cards.
Yeah, this is where going first really does make the difference and impact. The fact that you get your threat out there ahead of time is going to be tricky. And not to mention, if you want to even place your high main and trade or something to that degree, there is freezing trap. So Gnimsh is going to prioritize getting this trap out of the way so Lothab can do something here.
Gnimsh's last play was actually fairly strange. He decided not to use Flare on the last turn. He thought he could bait out a second trap from Strifecro, but it ended up really kind of backfiring for him because he only has 5 mana to work with this turn, and he can't put a high main down.
Maybe his animal companion can bail him out here. Something like Misha could stall. His opponent already did use 1 kill command. It's a Huffer.
Huffer is really not what you want to see.
I guess counter-aggressive, but then that's so much damage the high main has. Look, he has 16 health. On Strifecro's side has taunt because he needs to remove all this. He's taking way too much damage.
Yeah, and not only is he taking too much damage, his board is extremely unfavorable compared to Strifecro's board. Everything that Strifecro has trades extremely efficiently with it. If Gnimsh hadn't used the Hunter's Mark right there, he would have been facing 3 2/2 creatures against his 4/2 creature, which is a favorable trade for Gnimsh.
All right, that's still 4 damage on board. Strifecro has double flare, but he's got so he's prepared for any kind of trap that Gnimsh might throw down. Not so Strifecro adopt and with second freezing trap protecting and disabling this Lothab on board, Gnimsh needs to have something like Unleash the Hounds in order to come back.
Yeah, this definitely seems like a buzzer turn. Gnimsh goes for it, and unfortunately, he does not get any kind of beast, especially Unleash the Hound. He runs into the freezing trap, and unfortunately, it's looking extremely bad for Gnimsh right now. He could decide to use Leroy and trade into Lothab, get rid of about 3 damage on the board, but what does that really leave you with? Nothing much.
Yeah, that means there's still 7, and then... there's still 6 damage, excuse me. And there's with the hero power that might be your best course of action considering you just need to survive. It's not necessarily just about trying to find a way to win. Just trying to figure out a way for you to succeed.
Yeah. Flares him. Okay. I think it's about time he gets rid of one right now.
Picks up Flare. See what he gets off of this.
Leroy.
Oh, well, what do you know? The game-winning card. He's going to use his Leroy and end the game. And winning these Hunter Mirrors can sometimes just snowball like that, because going back to how Strifecro controlled the board very early on off of turn 1, Gnimsh just was at the mercy of how the Undertaker allowed Strifecro to dictate the board state.
Yeah, I think one of Gnimsh's more questionable plays was that turn where he played an Animal Companion plus Hero Powered instead of trying to flare the secret out of Strifecro's board. If he had done that on turn 5, then on turn 6 he would have had full mana to play a high main. And without the high main on board, there was a lot of tempo lost, and he didn't develop that high main. He didn't develop such a powerful creature against Strifecro's high main, and it went all downhill from there. Not saying that Gnimsh would have lost from that, put him in a slightly a better position.
Sure, Gnimsh has Warlock and Warrior remaining, and I want to say Warrior has to be chosen here because I'm thinking Gnimsh is bringing Handlock since it's very powerful, and I know Gnimsh is very favorable upon Handlock as well as Zoo. So I think if he goes for the Warrior here, then Strifecro's in a good position because then he can Warrior, and then the best is over, assuming this goes by the natural percentages. Of course, yeah. Hunter can still beat the Warrior, and then Warrior still can beat the Druid, even if they both start off with good hands. It's just about how the games pan out here.
We're getting word from the admins that that Gnimsh is actually using Warrior for the next deck, so your assessment was very correct. Gnimsh and Strifecro actually both had a lot of success with Warrior in the past few days on Deck Wars, which you can ask at Frodan. They both went in Deck Wars, and they were saying in one of my chats, oh man, Cloud9 Warrior went 6-0 on the first day. So Warrior is definitely a deck that Gnimsh has a lot of confidence in, and he'll be able to in this next game.
Okay, game 2 is beginning here, and Warrior is a pretty solid choice overall. It's a good way to smack down aggressive decks, and this Hunter deck for sure is on the more aggressive side, considering how much you've cut out a lot of the... People even do cut the high mains, or maybe just one, and to try to go for a very favorable start, and that's where Warrior can excel. But this is a high main deck from Strifecro, as he realizes Hunter is much more likely to be in the meta, and because of it, you have the opportunity to play a lot of ranges. And I just always feel like high main's a good card. Whenever I tried the version without high mains Monk, I always end up regretting it.
Yeah, I feel like the versions without high mains are tooled for very specific matchups, where the versions with high mains are a little better around the board. And we see Gnimsh's starting hand is absolutely perfect. He has almost all of his low drops that he could possibly want, sans perhaps the Armor Smith. But this is almost about as good as you're going to get as the Warrior player.
All right. Well, Gnimsh goes for a coin unstable ghoul, and you see his Hunter mark already baited out. So going for the unstable ghoul is to set up into something else. You see like that Gnimsh is doing cool and picking off the Whisper. He evaluate the play is going for the unstable ghoul much better to control the state of the board if your opponent had like the Haunted Creeper follow up or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like he kind of wants to get the Hunter's Mark out of the board as early as possible, and he did manage to get that from Strifecro. Now Gnimsh is less afraid of something like Hunter's Mark or his Sylvanas perhaps getting Hunter's Marked. Gnimsh, last turn, he decided not to develop the Fiery War Axe, which I actually believe is a mistake on Gnimsh's part. This matchup is a lot about first, and you're actually not too concerned about your armor. For example, this turn, Gnimsh could have either attacked the Undertaker plus used the Cruel Taskmaster, or attacked one of the creatures with the Fiery War Axe and developed one of his creatures, such as the Acolyte of Pain.
Well, he still has removal options here, but I understand your point completely, and that 2 health does matter, but in the end, you do want to try to prioritize trying to control the board state early on as the Warrior players, so that when you have cards like Armor Smith drawn in, you can gain back much quicker. Now, I think he does regret it to a certain extent. Using Shield Slam here on the one when there are 2 high mains in Strifecro's hand, it's going to be tricky if this board state doesn't improve dramatically.
Yeah, Strifecro has a fairly slow hand right now. Have the turn 6 and turn 7 high mains to follow up, and it'll be on those turns where we see if Gnimsh can deal with them effectively, and if not, where does he go from there? High mains, can he eventually take out both the high main bodies and the hyena bodies that go along with them?
Well, Strifecro hits a dead end on turn 5, other than just Haunted Creeper. He can't effectively kill off the Armor Smith, and Haunted Creeper plays directly into Warrior's hand. Easy armor and life, and the efficient removal with killing it off the Cruel Taskmaster Armor Smith combination. So it's he's in a pretty awkward spot here.
Yeah, awkward indeed.
Do you pass your Monk because you don't want to give him the armor and let it die? Or do you just develop it because you need to develop something?
Well, not only does the Haunted Creeper not develop much, it also, if you don't play it, it also could be a body that you could combo Buzzard with. But I guess Strifecro does decide that he needs a presence on the board. He kind of wants the board to be more softened up when the high main comes on.
No problem.
Oh yeah, for sure. But now this also enables the ability to draw, or to get it, and maybe even draw cards off the Acolyte. And Gnimsh is in a pretty decent spot. Thinking about whether or not he wants to use this Fiery War Axe charge, but I don't think you're threatened by this 1/1. It's not a beast, so it's not even enabled by Kill Command or Houndmaster. And you're pretty much waiting to see if your opponent has the High Main on this turn. So you can use the Fiery War Axe potentially as cleanup if you draw into cards like Execute.
Oh my god, 3 high. One of the high mains he actually got from the web spinner, and Gnimsh will be extremely sad when he sees back to back high mains. This is like the Hunter dream against Warrior.
Ah, Unstable Ghoul gives him a little bit of synergy. Not always guaranteed to go off. Some Hunters deck, but I don't know how common that is, and I think maybe that's where the Strifecro says he can peg him on not having an ability to immediately deal with it. But if he does, like say he has Eagle Horn Bow, the Hunter sometimes ignores it, gets the high main damage in anyways, and then you're in an awful spot.
Yeah, the Unstable Ghoul is kind of funny in that it puts another weak minion on the board, which is generally what you don't want against Warrior, but it also isn't that particularly weak to Buzzard Unleash, because the Unstable Ghoul will just kill off all the Unleash Hounds anyway. So you're not that, it's not that bad for you. Gnimsh decides to develop it just because it's something for him to potential of more armor and more cards from the Unstable Ghoul. This is really nice for Gnimsh if there were not so many high mains on the board. Gnimsh has the dreaded combo of Armor Smith, Unstable Ghoul, and the Acolyte of Pain.
Yep.
Pretty much all you could want, all those 1/3, 1/4 minions that have really cool effects. But we're going to see high main, and Gnimsh is going to be sad.
The synergies, not to mention he's got Undertaker and the high main, which is a Death Rattle minion, giving it that extra buff. So there's 2 high mains now.
Well,
If only he had some way to easily go for a mass removal like Brawl. But now he's picked. Although the next turn will be painful, he can draw a card to see if maybe he can pick up an answer too.
yeah, painful indeed. The Sylvanas can be somewhat of an answer to the high mains, but that's essentially 12 at least 12 damage you're looking at next turn. Gnimsh is gonna run his Acolyte into the high main. Brawl to get a Shield Slam in order to trigger his Sylvanas, but Brawl definitely it can be huge. If he thinks he can take the damage, 12 damage from these high mains, he can put the Sylvanas on board this turn, and next turn he can use Brawl. It's a great combo. And I think Gnimsh can actually afford to take that 12 damage since he's at so high right now. 33 HP essentially.
Yeah, that's where the Armor Smith in the previous turns was so huge, even though it's just this very tiny 1/4, getting a lot of draws off the Unstable and Acolyte combos. Very important. Now, Strifecro sees Sylvanas, and that is definitely unsettling considering the implications of what she can do to steal
I wonder.
5 even. So he has to be kind of careful. He draws Mad Scientist. Not the most helpful card. I think Strifecro also would have loved to have some way to get the draws with Buzzard going, whether it's suiciding or even just going Unleashed and trying to see what you get.
I wonder.
Yeah, Strifecro got the dream of 3 high mains, but this is the one situation where it might be that great. And these type of control matches. Oh, Strifecro's going for the Unleash. I think he's going to try to make the Sylvanas steal something minor. Is he going to attack into the Sylvanas? He's hovering over it, and I think he's going to go for it. He's got to take that risk right now.
Yeah, do you want to attack with the dogs first, or are you going to wait to see what they steal and then have the dogs address maybe the other dog that's taken? Or Mad Scientist even. No, but then the Armor Smith gains 2 attacks. Ah, it's tricky.
I don't think you're really prioritizing the armor too much at this point. This is going to be the huge turning point in the game. Which one does Gnimsh steal? And it's going to be the high bait.
Oh!
Gnimsh luck. You thought
Wow.
you were hurt.
Like I said, sometimes it just happens.
Wow, and a pretty decent draw in Death Spite. This board is actually kind of getting a little scary for Gnimsh. Do you think a brawl is good in this circumstance?
Well, the worst case scenario is that one of your opponent's weak minions lives, and your high main ends up becoming a 2/2, but you still have the board presence, and you can pretty much have strong whatever comes down to it. You can answer. So I feel like it's pretty good actually. You take off a lot of beast energy, and it is killing off effectively 6 to 7 damage.
All right. We get the brawl luck from Gnimsh. Let's see what goes in. Now, after
high
much
main
damage,
survives.
Monk. The last minute that goes in, it doesn't actually survive. Oh man, it's a hound.
So close. It could have been really disastrous. Doggy ends up triumphing.
Gnimsh decides to play the BGH. He probably thinks there's no Buzzard Unleash combo going on because he already saw the Unleash, and Strifecro just went from being really ahead on the board with 2 high mains and a 3rd in hand to being really behind with just 1 doggy.
Well, now this is humorous. Gnimsh throws out this BGH, and you just get something on the board and pressures, and then the fact is he probably also doesn't suspect it's a 3rd high main because he's like, what? Didn't you just play 2 high mains? You got a 3rd high main? But then Strifecro's out of cards, so basically what he has here he needs to do well with, or else Hunter's just going to fall far too behind because there's high-quality minions in Gnimsh's hand ready to go.
You would think that Gnimsh would be surprised at the 3rd high main, but I was looking at Gnimsh when the 3rd high main was played, and Gnimsh was not phased at that very stoic face even, and he's very calm and collected in card games when he's playing the actual game, and I think that's one of his biggest advantages.
Gotcha.
Also, Gnimsh just drew his Sludge Belcher. That's another effective card that Hunter has to go through. Hunter's Mark, Kill Command, all requires a little bit more in order to remove it. If your opponent's on 1 card, are you confident just removing here and then YOLO ragging?
Yeah, I think YOLO ragging wouldn't be a bad choice right now. And I think knowing Gnimsh, that's what he's going to go for.
Yeah,
Worst case scenario, your Strifecro is forced to deal with it somehow.
Oh, he is. And the Ragnaros comes down. What does it hit? It hit the face. And now Strifecro is on 10 health remaining. And that's not a lot to be playing with considering there is a BGH here. And then, of course, you're worried about Gromosh finishes, too. What's the trap that popped here? Is it another freezing trap from Strifecro?
We've only seen freezing traps from Strifecro, and I know Strifecro has had 1 freezing trap this game, I believe. I'm not sure what the second trap is, but if I had to guess it probably is a second freezing trap.
Gotcha.
Alright, well, he's going to try to see if he tests it and get execute. But it is freezing trap. This gives Gnimsh an opportunity to set up a wall of defense.
I think you just try to go for lethal right now with a 50-50. Yeah,
oh, sure.
Attack the face.
Sludge Belcher for sure. Okay, how does this end up going? Yeah, it doesn't end the game, but Strifecro stays alive.
Yeah, not lethal, but Strifecro is at 6 HP, and a lot of draws from Gnimsh could just end the game. Grom is a good example, but even if Gnimsh draws on one of his other weapons, he'll have lethal on. Sludge Belcher on board right now, it's going to be really hard for Strifecro to survive, to get past the taunt.
Okay, the dogs allow more targets for the Ragnaros to hit, but of course that's where the death rattle ends up coming out in effect. So Strifecro goes for the face as much as he can. Gnimsh can try to remove it and play defensive once more.
Well, I think he has lethal. He can just remove the board, and Ragnaros goes to face.
Yep. Doesn't even play Alex Strauss on himself, so he can go up to 15. No BM necessary. And Gnimsh minimizes his turn as fast as he can so he can end this game. Well done, and he's able to take out the Hunter. Warrior does have a good ability to respond to it, and Strifecro, even with 3 high mains, has lost his Hunter deck.
Yeah, I think it was all about the brawl that game. That brawl, or rather the Sylvanas, what Sylvanas stole. If he had stolen any other minion, that game could have looked completely different. Basically, Gnimsh was stealing a 6 to 8 mana worth value of a minion in the Sylvana high main, and if he had stolen like a Unleash the Hound minion, which was 1 mana, that's like a huge tempo swing of about 12 mana right there. I believe Strifecro will be picking Druid for the next game, and I believe it will be his own variation of Druid. We all know about Savige's Kalento's Strifecro Druid, but I believe in the NA qualifiers, Strifecro actually played a different type of Druid, and it had like slight variations on his original Druid, but added things such as Zombie Chow in order to make it even more aggressive on turns 1 and 2. In order for it to have a little bit more board control.
Yeah, I saw that. Zombie Chow, even Power of the Wild. Even if it doesn't include Violet Teachers, he has Power of the Wild to develop the board. So Strifecro really values that early game, like you mentioned, so that way he can push for the damage and be able to use finishers like Savage Roar. And this is where the Warrior deck can struggle. It can't deal with innervated cards really powerful early on, whether it's Shade of Naxxramas or Spectral Knight or other things that can pressure it. And sometimes it just isn't enough the way you can stall and react, and the damage from Druid is too much. So I feel like I'm leaning towards Strifecro here, but if Strifecro's on the opposite end and he's drawing his heavier cards and he doesn't have any way to play them and he's missing his curve, then the Warrior is going to benefit off of that greatly. And every single time you do that, slipping up even twice on a drop is probably game ending for the Druid.
Yeah, we have a pretty good start for Gnimsh right now. Oh wow, double Armor Smith and a Cruel Taskmaster. Whereas from Strifecro, we see a Harvest Golem. He's definitely going to be wanting to pick up something like Innervate with this hand. Or even, wow, he throws back the Harvest Golem. I think what he's saying is that he deems the Harvest Golem to be a bit too slow in this matchup, and he's really digging for things such as 2-drops, Innervate, or even Shade of Naxxramas.
Well, I saw him grab an Innervate. I didn't see the rest. Zombie Chow. But he does have Innervating Coins, so turn 3 Cairn is pretty damn impressive for a Druid player to face off against the Warrior. You can't really do much in that result unless you have the perfect set of like double execute and conveniently have the removal in that case.
Oh man, Strifecro has pretty much the perfect hand right now. He curves out perfectly with a Zombie Chow into an Echoing Ooze, into a Cairn. Cairn, like as we saw, like the high main in the previous game, it's incredibly difficult for Gnimsh to deal with, for the Warrior to deal with. Savannah high main might be a little bit more powerful, but when you compare a turn 6 Savannah high main to a turn 3 Cairn, I think the Cairn slightly wins out there.
Yeah, definitely. The tempo you gain from being able to not only do damage and continue to keep the shields low, but also the ability to just have the strong presence to safely drop your smaller minions is huge.
Very, very nice attack from the Zombie Chow right there. I think that was a bit just so he doesn't want the armor building up, and also partly to play around the Cruel Taskmaster that might be coming up. If Gnimsh decides to Cruel Taskmaster this turn, and he decides to trade into anything, he'll essentially be trading the Armor Smith into one of these creatures. Whereas if Strifecro had just gone for face with the Zombie Chow, the Armor Smith, which would have been a 3/3 after the Cruel Taskmaster buff, would have traded against the Armor Smith, would have traded against the Zombie Chow, and be left with 1 health that Strifecro would have had to deal with.
Yeah, that's a really good analysis of a subtle play from Strifecro that a lot of people might have just ignored. Now, that does give Gnimsh kind of a hard to lose his armor. Discourage doing so because he loses it, but still, it's the strongest minion out there on the field, and you're challenging what's out there. So I still feel like the Cruel Taskmaster might be better in this department.
Yeah, everything else I believe is just so passive, and it doesn't really affect the board state in favor of Gnimsh. Whereas otherwise with this play, Gnimsh has a somewhat of a favorable board right now. He has a 2-2, which trades very well with the 1-2. And if Strifecro doesn't have a Power of the Wild, then Gnimsh will be sitting fairly very nicely.
Strifecro has the opportunity to go for this Cairn at the moment, and I don't think of a better way to spend your turn 3 innovating out one of your most powerful cards in your deck. There's not many 6-cost cards in Druid other than Force of Nature and Cairn in this variant, and allows you to kind of get this this powerful minion out early. And just look at the only ways Gnimsh can do with it. Execute only deals with half of this body here.
Yeah, this is the exact scenario that you want to see as the Druid player. Innervate plus coin into Cairn. And without something such as double Shield Slam on this turn, then Gnimsh will have to deal with this Cairn he'll have such a hard time dealing with it every turn. That Armor Smith that he put up on this board, it was his only option, and it'll just get traded for free against the Cairn. Oh, we see a Power of the Wild in Strifecro's hand right now.
Yeah, but this is the clean swipe. So
yes.
It's not as clean. It's not as a clear play, but I think the swipe just feels too good and fitting right now. You get to shred almost all your opponent's armor.
Yeah, and I think the Power of the Wild doesn't actually add too much to the board. You get to save health on your Cairn, plus you don't take any damage from the Cairn, which is very important in order to not activate the Execute from Gnimsh's hand right now.
What to do?
Yeah, Strifecro is taking his time and evaluating. Maybe he can get away with Power of the Wild hero power, saving swipe for something else, but I just feel like the swipe here is really good, just like you said, for keeping your Cairn at full health, so that way Execute's not as strong, and he also takes down his opponent's entire armor.
Well, luckily for Gnimsh, he gets a free Cairn of his own, and it'll be at least something to help him contest the board. Gnimsh is also at a full 30 HP right now, thanks to his hero power, so it's not looking, I'd say, too badly for him right now, I guess.
Yeah, it's not looking awful. It could be worse, that's for sure. The early game could be a Shitanax Rammus that he can't control, and then Defender plays that lock off the stronger minions that are doing damage every single turn. But still, I feel like he's under some tight pressure, and Strifecro wisely, instead of tossing out a Druid the Claw to be super aggressive, he's just going to count on the fact that his opponent doesn't have Black Knight and play this 4/6 taunt to kind of discourage the Cairn from being able to get any movement here.
Yeah, this might be a circumstance where being on the same team as Gnimsh has helped Strifecro in deciding to play that taunted Druid of the Claw. Maybe he knows Gnimsh's particular warrior deck doesn't run Black Knight, and he's not going to play around a card that he knows his teammate isn't going to run.
And then that leaves Gnimsh in a pretty awkward position where he just has to spend Execute on this, and Cairn is still out there roaming. And then now Strifecro can get value off of something like Power of the Wild and easily pushing through. Ooh, Keeper of the Grove. Look at that.
That's just absolutely perfect against this Cairn.
Yeah.
In fact,
so.
It's almost the perfect target. But if Strifecro uses this Keeper of the Grove, then his opponent will be able to put a Sylvanas on the field. That's the second target that you actually want for Keeper of the Grove, and a Sylvanas, Gnimsh's Sylvanas against his opponent's Cairn. That's not something you want to face off against if you're the player with the Cairn.
What to do?
Yeah, it's a valid point. It is a valid point. It's just so tempting. Given the board state, you Keep the Grove and Power of the Wild and push through, and you get that extra buff also to make a 3/5 Keeper.
I must safeguard the land.
You also have
it's just way too tempting.
Yeah, I think it's just too good on the board development, and you also don't have the guarantee that your opponent has a stronger silence target. So
Yeah,
I'm very happy with this play.
The only regret about it, the only slight regret, is that you don't have the extra innervate or the extra hero power to take out this Cairn. But it's already such a good play that you're thinking, oh, whatever. I'll take what I can get.
Certainly, I agree with that. Now, Gnimsh is in a tough situation, too, because developing anything here is very one-sided. You can't develop the Axe and Sylvanas, so, you know, at this stage, you're just trying to trade into whatever you can get, and he picks off the 2-attack minion because that's how much he wants to lock down his opponent's Savage Roar targets, as well as maximize his chance of stealing something good with Sylvanas.
Yeah, Gnimsh or Strifecro might be even a little sad that he buffed his Cairn to a 5/3, because right now, at this current board state, the Sylvanas will be able to trade cleanly into the Cairn and steal a creature. Whereas if the Cairn were a 4/5 or a 4-attack creature, then it'll take a while before the Sylvanas will come to effect. Fortunately, Strifecro has a Druid of the Claw that he might be willing to put into taunt once again, and it might have the same effect. The Sylvanas plus the Fiery War Axe will trade into the Druid of the Claw, and the Cairn plus the Keeper of the Grove that are on this board right now will be able to inflict a total of 16 damage on the board over the course of 2 turns.
Yeah, 17 actually as of now, because he does have that hero power. And he's at 16 health right now. Gnimsh is very dangerously close to combo range in the next couple of turns. Needs to figure out a way to get himself out of here. But with an Acolyte draw that doesn't have any promise of popping, I'm not seeing it other than Gnimsh trying to go for a big Hail Mary here. And of course, by that I mean
4/6?
Ragnaros. Huh?
Yeah, really bad trade for the Sylvanas into the 4/6.
Yep, you're losing health doing that. So, like Ragnaros. And if it hits Cairn, nothing changes, Monk. There's 50% chance this can go disastrously.
Yeah, if it doesn't hit a minion on the board right now, then Gnimsh is dead. And wow, the Ragnaros face. We see Savage Roar plus swipe in Strifecro's hand, and that's certainly enough to go for lethal right now.
Right.
Just the Savage Roar alone, even.
No counting necessary. You have overkill by a good chunk, and Gnimsh drops the series. But what can you do in a situation like that where Cairn has been around for 5 turns?